This week, I want to bust the urban myth that the Sunday Times Rich List, here's a couple of examples in case you're not familiar with it, is a brilliant free prospect pipeline for all major donor fundraisers. So this breaks down into several pushbacks on this. So firstly, the fundamental. Just because someone is wealthy does not mean they are philanthropic or generous. Those things are not automatically the same. And just because a wealthy person is philanthropic and generous, it does not mean that they ought to fund your cause and your organisation. There is no ought in this. This is their money to do with as they wish within the construct of the law, not ought to give some to any cause, including your own. And just because somebody is wealthy, whether they are rich list wealthy or not rich list wealthy, does actually not mean that they currently have the disposable income and the disposable cash available right now to make a gift to you or any other charity. It is a misconception that wealthy people are completely immune to life events. They could be about to make an investment. Their life circumstances might be about to change. There can be lots of reasons why right now they do not have the disposable spare money available to make a philanthropic gift. And we should never lose sight of the fact that philanthropic gifts come from spare disposable income. But let's say they are philanthropic and they do, and somehow you know that they do, have disposable income at the moment. They might not be interested in your cause area and they might not be interested in funding your specific organisation. I've spoken to many donors over the years who have had a bad experience with a specific organisation and won't fund it again, even though the people who created that bad experience are long gone. Thinking that the Sunday Times Rich List, or any rich list, because there are lots of them, is a great free prospect pipeline for major donors, and that all fundraisers should do is write to Richard Branson, Lakshmi Mittal, or whoever it is, and simply ask them for a gift. Number one, will do more harm than good. It is not a harmless activity. It is a waste of a fundraiser's resources. Most fundraisers I know are hugely under-resourced and overworked, and to spend any time on a fruitless activity such as crafting a letter to somebody on the Sunday Times Rich List, which is guaranteed a no, that time could be spent elsewhere much more fruitfully. It also suggests that there's a lack of respect for the fundraiser, because I can bet my bottom dollar that that fundraiser has said, no, I don't think that's a good idea. And yet if they're being compelled to do it by someone who is not a fundraiser, it suggests that internally there's a lack of respect for that fundraiser, which is just no good way to behave with staff and people who work with you. But it can do harm, because that person will notice that they've had what we might describe as a begging letter or a cold approach from your organisation with someone's name on it, whether it's the chief execs or the trustees or the poor fundraiser who signs it themselves. And that person might remember that. And so should they then meet them in the future and there be an opportunity to kindle a real relationship, they might not be minded to kindle that relationship because they will remember that they got this very blunt and cold approach. And never forget that whilst we might think of trusts as speaking to each other and hanging out in a club like the AFC, the Association of Charitable Foundations, ACF, that, philanthropists do that as well. They hang out with each other, particularly if they're all interested in the same cause area. They hang out and they talk about solving that world problem and fixing that cause area and whatever it is. And they'll say, oh God, I got this awful letter from so-and-so. And then your name is out there and your reputation is there set as someone who takes a very blunt approach to it. So it can do more harm than good. But it also ignores that what we all know when we're successful major donor fundraisers, that major donor fundraising comes from building relationships with people who, yes, absolutely have a capacity to give a large gift, who have a stated interest in your cause area, and who have a connection to your organisation. So this is not a cold approach, a cold ask type of fundraising. It is about building relationships, building connections, and forging ahead in that way. It's why it takes time, because it is taking time that makes it work. It is taking this swift way out of just let's mail merge everyone on the Sunday Times rich list. And I really wish I was making that up, but I'm not. That is the problem. People will not respond to it, and you're guaranteeing lots of no's and some quite bad reputation as an organisation.